What if I told you that the version of yourself you're clinging to is the very thing standing between you and the life you truly want? That everything you dream of, peace, purpose, discipline, power, is not only possible, but inevitable if you're willing to become someone you've never been before. This isn't a motivational cliche. It's a brutal, timeless truth from one of the wisest minds in history, Marcus Aurelius. The Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher understood a fundamental law of human nature. The life we desire requires a version of ourselves that we haven't yet become. So, the real question isn't what do you want, but rather, who are you becoming? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll see how the Stoic Path can shape you into that person. We live in a world obsessed with achievement money, recognition, mastery, status. We read books, set goals, hustle harder, and chase the next version of success. But somewhere deep inside, many of us feel stuck, not because we don't want the life we dream of, but because we are unwilling to let go of the identity that has brought us this far. This video explores that uncomfortable truth, why you're not yet the person who can hold the life you desire, and how the teachings of Marcus Aurelius and the Stoic Path can help you transform. This isn't about changing your core essence or abandoning who you are. It's about sharpening the edges, forging resilience, and molding your mindset so that you can step into a life that aligns with your higher self. Whether you feel like you've hit a plateau, are stuck in self-doubt, or are simply tired of going through the motions, this video will offer a philosophical yet practical roadmap to becoming the person your future demands. Section 1. The Identity Gap. Becoming V's, being at the heart of Stoicism, is the understanding that we must continually strive to close the gap between who we are and who we are capable of becoming. Marcus Aurelius, writing in Meditations, often scolded himself not for failure, but for comfort, for allowing ease to lull him into stagnation. He understood what many of us fail to see, that progress requires friction. The person you are today has brought you here, but they won't get you to your next level. The values, habits, and thoughts that served you yesterday may now be your biggest limitation. This is the identity gap, the uncomfortable realization that you must outgrow your current self. And this isn't about pretending to be someone else or rejecting your past. It's about recognizing that who you want to be exists on the other side of hard choices, emotional discipline, and radical self-honesty. Just like a warrior must train beyond his current skill to face greater battles, you must out-train your ego to rise into the person who can handle your vision. Real-world examples are everywhere. The entrepreneur who had to become a disciplined leader rather than a chaotic creator. The athlete who sacrificed instant gratification for long-term greatness. The parent who shifted from reaction to intention. All of these transformations required killing off an old version of the self, painfully, intentionally, and forging a new one. That's the essence of Stoic growth. Section 2. The Stoic Path. Discipline over desire. One of the most misunderstood aspects of Stoicism is the idea that it's emotionless or cold. In truth, it's one of the most emotionally intelligent philosophies ever conceived. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca weren't telling us to suppress emotion, but rather to master it. Because a person ruled by emotion is at the mercy of every obstacle, delay, or insult life throws their way. The Stoic Path is about training your emotional state to serve your purpose, not sabotage it. That means choosing discipline over desire, reason over impulse. Let's take an analogy. Imagine your mind is a chariot, and your emotions are powerful horses. Without a disciplined driver, those horses run wild and wreck everything. But with mastery, they become a force of nature that carries you forward. Marcus Aurelius would write about this constantly, to pause before reacting, to question your desires, to understand that just because something feels good now doesn't mean it's good for you. In our world today, this is more relevant than ever. Instant gratification is available at every turn: scrolls, clicks, likes, snacks, distractions. But none of those things will build the character required for the life you claim to want. If you desire peace, you must discipline your thoughts. If you want strength, you must confront your weakness. If you seek freedom, you must chain yourself to habits that forge it. This is the daily, silent battle of the Stoic, to choose who you are becoming over who you currently are. Section 3, Voluntary Discomfort and the Forging of Resilience. There's a powerful practice in Stoicism that modern life desperately needs: voluntary discomfort. Marcus Aurelius and his Stoic contemporaries believed that comfort weakens the spirit. In a world of abundance, true strength comes from embracing discomfort before life forces it upon you. This might sound harsh, but think about it. How do you build muscle? By stressing it. How do you build emotional resilience? By facing challenges, not avoiding them. Voluntary discomfort can be as simple as waking up earlier than you want, delaying gratification, training your body, fasting, or even just saying no to distractions. These are not random acts of masochism. They are the forge where character is built. Every time you do something difficult that your lower self wants to avoid, you strengthen the part of you that's in control. This is how you become the person your future requires. You prepare not by hoping life gets easier, but by becoming someone who can handle more. In the Stoic worldview, adversity isn't the enemy, it's the path. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That's not just a poetic line. It's a battle cry for transformation. Every resistance, every moment of hardship is an invitation to rise into the person you must become. The people who live the lives you admire didn't stumble into greatness. They walked through fire voluntarily. Section 4. The Modern Misunderstanding. Comfort as a trap. We live in a society that constantly tells us to be yourself, to follow your heart, to listen to your feelings. And while these ideas sound empowering, they can become traps when taken as absolute truths. Here's the harsh reality. Being yourself is only wise advice if your current self is aligned with wisdom, discipline, and purpose. Marcus Aurelius never wrote, "Be yourself." He wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That's not about validation, it's about transformation. The modern misunderstanding is that change means betrayal. But in the Stoic view, change is loyalty to your highest potential, not your current comfort. Sometimes, loving yourself means refusing to let yourself stay the same. There are also critics of Stoicism who argue that it's too rigid or emotionless, but those critiques often miss the deeper point. The Stoic path is not about rejecting joy or pleasure. It's about not being owned by them. It's not about suppressing your humanity. It's about elevating it. The truth is, most people don't need more motivation. They need more clarity. They need a mirror, not a megaphone. And what that mirror often reflects is a version of themselves that is capable of more but terrified of becoming it, because it requires letting go of who they've always been. Section 5, The War Within. Mastering the inner critic. There's a battle every person fights, though most never name it. It's not against the world, circumstances, or even other people. It's against the voice inside that says, "You're not enough." This inner critic is persistent, deceptive, and often disguised as reason. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. But what happens when the mind turns against itself? The Stoics understood that the greatest obstacle to a meaningful life isn't external failure, it's internal surrender. The inner critic feeds on perfectionism, fear of judgment, and the past. It tells you that because you failed before, you'll fail again. It whispers that you should wait until you're more prepared, more confident, more approved by others. But here's the Stoic truth. You don't need to silence the critic, you need to stop obeying it. The inner war is won by action, not overthinking. The moment you act in defiance of self-doubt, you reclaim power. Every time you show up despite fear, you weaken the critic's control. This is a form of mental self-discipline. It's not about becoming fearless, but about acting with fear, not under it. You become the person your future demands, not by having perfect confidence, but by refusing to be ruled by the voice that tells you to play small. Section 6, Memento Mori. Remembering death to awaken life. There is perhaps no Stoic idea more confronting and more liberating than Memento Mori, the reminder that you must die. At first glance, it feels dark, morbid even. But in reality, this practice is not about fear, it's about clarity. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This wasn't just philosophical reflection, it was tactical urgency. Because when you accept the inevitability of death, you stop wasting time. You stop postponing your growth. You stop waiting for the right moment. Death isn't just an end, it's a motivator, a focusing agent. In a world where distraction is currency, and time feels infinite, Memento Mori snaps you awake. It asks, what are you delaying that matters? What would you do if you truly remembered your time is limited? When you bring death close, not in fear, but in awareness, you prioritize differently. You become more present. You stop tolerating mediocrity in your habits, relationships, and purpose. You stop pretending you have forever to become the person you were meant to be. In this way, Memento Mori becomes a sacred challenge. If your time is short, then who are you becoming today, right now? Every day lived with the awareness of death is a day lived with the urgency to grow. Section 7, Amor Fati. Loving the uncontrollable I've memento. Mori T teaches you. TIT teaches you to embrace reality. The phrase means love of fate, and it challenges one of the deepest parts of human nature, our resistance to what we cannot control. When things don't go our way, failure, heartbreak, delay, betrayal, our instinct is to resist, complain, or despair. But Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." That's amor fati in practice. It's not just acceptance of difficulty, it's a fierce, proactive embrace of it. This is where Stoicism separates itself from toxic positivity. Amor fati doesn't say everything is good. It says, I will make good from everything. It means seeing every hardship as fuel, every delay as training, every rejection as redirection. When you adopt this mindset, you become unstoppable, not because life is easy, but because nothing can break your momentum. Real-world examples are everywhere. The entrepreneur who learns from failure, the athlete who trains harder after injury, the parent who finds peace in chaos. Amor fati turns setbacks into stepping stones. It reclaims power from the external world and places it in your attitude. And when your attitude is forged in the fire of amor fati, you stop fearing adversity. You begin to welcome it, not as punishment, but as preparation for the life you're meant to live. Section 8. The power of the present. Now is all you own. It's easy to get lost in visions of the future, the life you want, the person you're becoming, the goals you've set. But if Stoicism teaches anything, it's this: the future is only a concept. The only moment you truly own is now. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly, confine yourself to the present. Not because the future is unimportant, but because obsession with it breeds anxiety. The present is the training ground. Every decision, every thought, every action is made now. The person you want to become is not found someday. It's shaped in the actions you take today. This is a truth that both liberates and confronts. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to be intentional now. Want to be more disciplined? Start now. Want to be stronger, more focused, more aligned? That starts in this very moment. The present isn't just where time happens, it's where identity is forged. The Stoics knew this, and they used it to their advantage. By focusing entirely on what was in their control, this thought, this decision, this response, they mastered what most people ignore: the art of presence. And in mastering the present, you begin to become someone the future will thank. Section 9. Virtue over outcome. Living by internal standards at the core of Stoic philosophy is one radical idea. Your worth is not tied to results, but to virtue. This means living not for outcomes, but for principles. In a society obsessed with winning, the Stoic Path says something different. Live rightly, even if you fail. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who held ultimate power, constantly reminded himself not to be consumed by external success. Why? Because outcomes are not always in our control, but our values are. The Stoics taught that true freedom comes when you stop measuring yourself by what happens to you and start living by what flows from you: your courage, your honesty, your discipline, your integrity. Think about this. The person who trains every day but loses the match is still disciplined. The person who speaks the truth and loses favor is still honest. When you detach from outcomes and anchor yourself in virtue, you become unshakable. The world can't manipulate you with praise or punishment. You're no longer chasing validation. You're embodying values. This is the highest form of self-respect. The person you're becoming isn't obsessed with whether the world notices. They're committed to being excellent, regardless. And in that commitment, they become powerful, not because of what they achieve, but because of who they become in pursuit of it. So let's come back to the opening question. Who are you becoming? The life you want, the peace, the impact, the strength, it already exists. But it's waiting for a version of you that doesn't yet exist. And that's not a flaw. That's the journey. Through Stoicism, Marcus Aurelius gave us a timeless blueprint for that transformation. Accept discomfort, master your emotions, question your identity, and act with disciplined purpose. If you take nothing else from this video, remember this: the distance between your current life and the life you want is not measured in time. It's measured in identity, and that gap can only be crossed with courage, intention, and a willingness to evolve. So be honest with yourself. What are you clinging to that no longer serves who you are becoming? And what are you willing to sacrifice to meet your future self? If this resonated with you, drop a comment below and share what part of the Stoic Path you're committed to walking. Don't forget to subscribe for more deep dive content on philosophy, mindset, and becoming your best self. And remember, the life you want demands who you're not yet. But every choice you make today shapes that person. Choose wisely.